Would you? Hello. Is anyone there? Hello, 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 hello. Yay. I was glad to see that.
Yep, someone is here.
Oriyomi, good evening. How are you? Esther, good evening. Thank you for joining. Good evening, everyone. As you're coming in, guys, please start sharing. Hello, Jefferson. Oluwatoyin, good evening. Theophilus, how are you? Good evening. Hello, Ronke. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. Adebonojo, good evening. Ngozi, good evening. Esther, again. Wow, thank you, Esther. Esther saying both reflect splendid. Thank you very much. Theophilus again, hello, thank you. T.Y., how are you? Good evening. Good evening. I can't read your name. Is in Arabic. I can't read it, sorry. Lisa, good evening. Emmanuel, how are you? Good evening. Low audio. I will check that for you.
I think this is why.
Okay. Hello, Michael. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome this evening. My name is Peace.
I have got peace behind me or beside me. I'm always with peace. I'm playing with the word. Not very well, I can see. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today we're having a book review. And the book review that we're having is titled How to Be in the Here and Now. Talking to me. So, and all of us actually. Me.
More in French.
How to be in the here and now. Chinwe, good evening. It's been a while. Good evening. Thank you for joining us today. Ngozi is saying hello, peace, and she's got peace up. Peace up.
Ngozi?
Yes. Ngozi. Evans, good evening. Pierre, good evening. Amarachi, thank you for joining. Israel, good evening. Lisa, Justin, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. Rin, good evening. Chinwe again. Hello, Chinwe. It's really nice to see you. It's been a while. Omonike, good evening. So, we've got the book review today. I always enjoy book reviews. And this particular one, I really can't wait because I think I need it. I have to be in the here and now. Anyway, we will find out. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to turn the camera. Without further ado, guys, do the honors, please. And share. Okay, what would you like to say, Peace?
Like, I'm really anticipating to learn a lot from this book review, and I'm very, very sure you're anticipating to how to be in the here and now. So just, have your notepads and keep your brain and your heart open to everything we're going to learn, because trust me, this is going to be very beneficial to you. Very, very beneficial.
Okay, guys, let's do the honors and invite other people. We don't want to be the only one that learn how to be in the here and now. We want the people that we interact with to also learn how to be here and now, so that we can have a good world, a good environment to be. So invite your friends, invite your family, and you know what you should also do? Share. So let's go. Hello, Blessing. Is somebody saying something?
Yeah, someone said, please, how can I get the previous talks?
Okay, excellent question. You will go to YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official. So YouTube channel for Dr. Sunday is Sunday Adelaja Official. There are a whole host of playlists. So you will see him in a blue jacket. So click his picture and there'll be a playlist. And even in the main page, you would see various videos and playlists that you can watch right from the main page. But there's a playlist and a host of titles and topics that you can select from. So, and also there's another way you can get his materials, which is on his blog, which is sundayadelajablog.com, sundayadelajablog.com. But YouTube is your friend, so check out YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official. And of course, you already know, because you're here, he's here on Facebook, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Thank you.
Video.
Okay. And also, since you're here on Facebook, if you go to while you're here, you can click on videos and you see various videos of Dr. Sunday Adelaja. But YouTube is organized because it's got playlists, and you can select a playlist of title that of your preference, right?
Yep.
So, Israel, stay with us and you will find out more. So let's go, guys.
Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here. How are you all doing today? You can't believe it. I think the girls were right, because the topic of today is going to be mind-blowing. Please go ahead and call as many people as you know, and as many people as would like to learn something and change the quality of their lives. One of the deficiencies and vices of humans on daily basis that is the most widespread, I would think, weakness and bad habit, vice, weaknesses, anything you want to call it, things that really portray us, some of the weakest futures that we manifest as people, that is counterproductive and that really draws us back than any other thing, is what we are going to be talking about today. Is the fact that most people are daydreamers. So this book is about how to stop daydreaming and begin to live. So this book is called How to Be in the Here and Now. How to be in the here and now. You have to learn to be in the here and now, or in the here and in the here and now. How to be in the here and now. Let me show you the book. I don't know if it's clear enough.
Yes, it is.
How to be in the here and now. How to be in the here and now. How to be in the here and now.
Yeah.
How to be in the here and now. How to be in the here and now. How to be in the here and now. So, how to be in the here and now. I'm so happy I'm able to release this book. But I also have Mrs. Shoronke sitting down here beside me. When was the last time you saw a book by that topic? By that title?
Never.
When was the last time you saw a book by that title?
Never.
Never seen.
No.
Until you went past Sunday?
Yes.
But is the problem real?
In fact,
Is it a reality that there's a problem like that?
In fact, when I read the book, I saw how real this problem is with us human beings.
But there are not books all left and center about it. This is a topic that you are supposed to have books on everywhere.
Yes.
Just right, left, and center. But unfortunately, few people, if anybody at all, addresses it.
Yes. Actually, the reason why I got attracted to this book, Being in the Here Now, is because I used to hear Pastor Sunday say it all the time. And I said, what does he mean? Being in the here now? I mean, how is it possible not to be in the here now? And he followed it up sometimes with saying that you are sleeping. But I used to wonder, how could you be sleeping when my eyes is open and I'm here and I'm listening? I mean, there's no way. I'm not sleeping and I'm talking. And there's just no way that I'm not here, So it was, I knew that there was something more to this here now that he talks about. And I had a feeling that I really needed that book. For some reason, I felt like, you know what? I need to read this book. And Pastor Sunday was so gracious to me. He was able to give me the book in English. The manuscript, actually. Manuscript, yes. Translated from the Russian. And immediately I began to read it. But I'm going to tell you something. When you start reading this book, you're going to first of all start laughing because of some of the illustrations. You're going to be able to relate to it, or you're going to know a story that actually will remind you of these things in the book. So it's a real interesting book.
And when you started reading the book, question for you, did you recognize anybody?
I recognize myself. The last was more of myself. Huh? I didn't even remember anybody. I remembered myself.
Well, that is what I meant to say, but so that I would not jump ahead of the example. So I said, did you recognize somebody?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. Yes.
So what did you see? What made you to recognize yourself in that book? Because
Well-
not too many books you will read and see yourself black and white there.
Well, it talked about more like not, paying attention to your atmosphere, to where you are, to what you're doing. And that more, I was doing more things of just out of reflex, instance, or something that I just knew needed to be done.
Autopilot.
Yes, just automatically. Like, I've learned, wake up in the morning, wash your face, brush your teeth. I mean, and you could just do that sleepwalking because it's something that you were just used to doing. But I found that if that's the way that I live as a human being, just doing things with instinct, automatically, I'm actually basically lowering myself to the level of an animal. I found that human beings are created to use logic, to use their minds, to be present, to be attentive, to be alert to their surrounding, to what's going on, and to be detailed about it. So that was one of the shocking things that really I've been walking around all this time just like an animal. I've not been using a lot of logic in things that I do. I have not been aware of where I am, what I'm doing. And I found that was true because some of the things that was talked about in this book is that there are certain things that can happen to us if we are not in the here and now. And there were a couple of stories that were striking. And I think I'm going to give you one story that I think all of you be able to relate to. There was a story about a lady who usually after work, she goes pick up her son from a certain spot. And so this day she drove right by where she was supposed to pick her son. Got home only to look for her son in the car and he wasn't there. And she didn't understand how is that possible. So she drove back only to find out that her son was at the spot that she was supposed to pick him up. And when she picked her son up, her son said, "Mom, but you looked at me the whole time you passed by." And I said to myself, whoa, how is it possible to pass by where you're supposed to pick your son up, look at him as you're driving off, and don't remember that you have to pick him up, or don't even pick him up, and get home and then don't realize he's not in the car? Wow. So I said, these are the things that can happen if I quickly do not find out what it is to be in the here and now.
That is the extreme example.
That's the extreme. But the extremes are good sometimes because we don't want to get
But
to that.
what about the daily examples? Like you
Daily
went to
examples.
the fridge.
Yes.
And then you standing by that fridge and say, what did I come here to pick?
Exactly. And I have to walk right back. I have to walk right back and do as if I'm going back and then come and then, oh yes, I remember now what I wanted to get from the fridge. But I will tell you another one too that's really interesting. I would leave home and I would say to myself, and by this time I'm like 45 minutes away, did I turn off the stove? Did I leave the pot on the fire? Oh, no, I can't remember if I did that.
So you had to stop the car.
I just used to say a prayer sometimes because
But it's too late.
I cannot. But thank God I turned off the stove. But then I had to devise ways of remembering not to leave a pot on the fire. That was after I cook, I make sure I take that pot off from the stove. And then sometimes I tell you another one that maybe you all might relate to. You drive your car into a parking lot, you park, you go into the mall, you come back out, and you can't find your car because you don't remember where you parked. So I definitely...
But some people think that this is a problem of memory. No.
Yes.
It's not a problem of memory. It's a problem of presence. It's a problem of being in the here and now or not. It is a problem of daydreaming. And that is what we're talking about. And that's what this book is all about. You see the name of the book, the title of the book, How to Be in the Here and Now all the time. People are living with me. You'll be living with me for some time, all of you. You will never catch me being absent-minded like that. I never think away about something because from 16, I've been working on this, from the age of 16. I never lose it. In fact, my own, in being here and now, in my own case, I could be so much here and now that I'll be doing many other things, and I will still be more present here than somebody who is listening 100%. Because my presence and my being here and now is so heightened. My conscious presence, my consciousness is so awakened that I will be writing a letter or writing a book and doing some other things and listening to television or to something or whatever is going on, and I will be telling somebody who is not doing anything what the television just said, and I will ask him who doesn't even remember. Or a lot of times as a pastor, people come to me and they are telling me their stories. I just, what did you just say now? He said, oh, what did I say? I said, well, you just said this thing. I said, hey, some people don't even remember what they just said a few seconds ago. They have forgotten because they are not in the here and now. So I have to remind them. But let me tell you my own, how much that consciousness has been raised and developed in me personally. And people can witness to this. I think some of them, maybe my wife remembers or will be able to say it. I'll be sleeping and snoring. And sleep, I'm asleep, on my bed or something. But my books are being edited that time. And while the books is being edited, people are reading it out. I'll be correcting them. The person who is reading the book himself doesn't notice the problem. He doesn't notice the corrections. He doesn't notice the mistakes. And I that are sleeping and snoring, I will be so much, even while I'm sleeping, my body is off, I'm tired and sleeping. I will still be more conscious of what is being read than the very person who is reading. The very person who is reading doesn't even say any mistake. And me that is sleeping, I'm correcting him. And this is not going sale. This happens all the time. Maybe some people have witnessed it. Yes. Yeah, you've witnessed it. You tell them about it.
Guys, I've witnessed that, and that really scared me.
What is that?
I witnessed Dr. Sunday sleeping, and as he said, actually snoring, and he was able to. I said he was sleeping, his eyes were shut, and he said,
No. Eyes shut.
Yeah, eyes shut,
snoring.
sleeping, snoring, gone. And he said to the person reading out the book that no, he shouldn't. No, that's not the right word. He woke up and he said, no, that's not the right word. I looked at him, I'm thinking, who's this? What happened? What just happened here? That was the first month that I was here. I couldn't believe it. I said, but I was looking at everyone, but I think everybody else was used to this kind of ways where you sleeping, snoring, you can hear he's snoring, and you know that he's asleep because when he opens his eyes, the sleepy eyes, like you can see the eyes it's a bit darker, so you can see that, so you know definitely that he was sleeping. And he would say, no, go back. That sentence is not right. What you read there doesn't, the word that should be there is this. And he corrects the words. And I'm sitting there, about five of us were sitting there. That sentence has gone past. And he came back to it. So I witnessed that. And, this is one of the reasons why I said, I'm not sure if it's human really. Because I don't know any human that can do that. I don't even think it's possible. This topic about how to be here and now. Even the things that Mrs. Sharonka described, that I do all of them, every one of them. Cars, the cooking. I literally burned down the whole house cooking rice before. All of those, everything, I do them. And I didn't even think that I could go and get a book, or there's a subject, or there's a way that I could develop myself to be here and now. I just thought that's just my own thing. If I survive this world, I survive. If I don't survive it, then I'm gone. Because, I have to put alarm if I'm cooking rice sometimes. Because I even forget that I'm cooking. I'm not hungry anymore. I go and do something else. And the kitchen had burned down once before, seriously. And I'm not proud of this. I'm just saying, and not even knowing that I could learn to be here and now, here and now. In the here and now. That's something now that is really, I felt like I've robbed myself, because it happens all the time. They're going out in the car and thinking, mine is that I think, oh, I didn't lock the door. I think, okay, there's nothing there really that I want. If there's something that I really want in the house, I'll go back and then I'll check it if it's locked. I do that all the time. And I do that like five times a week. So I'm really pleased to.
So are you now surprised why there is a big difference between my productivity level and other people's productivity level? Because they are not here. They have to go back. They don't even know what they just did. They don't even remember what happened. But I'm always here and now. And in the here and now, producing intentionally, doing everything consciously and intentionally. So this book is about how to get that skills, how to develop that skill of being in the here and now, living consciously, and doing everything intentionally. Just like with Peace today. Peace is the one who wrote the book, not me. She is the one who wrote it, and we were editing together. And she is not even. I will repeat it. Okay, repeat that again. She will be reading and repeating and not see mistake. She will repeat it and not see mistake. So after the end of the work, Peace was saying, but how come you are not seeing every word? Not for everyone, every letter in A. Well, tell you mentioned it. That is coming from being in the here and now too. It's not just about knowledge or memory, no.
So we were editing a book today, and then I was supposed to read a sentence, and while I was reading this sentence, the difference was those and that. That was the one that marveled me most. There were so many other corrections he made in the process. But I read a sentence and I think feelings, and then the next word that was supposed to be there was those. I said that, and I kept repeating that sentence over and over again. And it's like, okay, you are almost there. Just one more thing. And I said it again. I'm like, what's the mistake? And immediately he said it. I'm like, wow. Because it was plural, something else was supposed to change about the whole word. And he's like, that's how someone can be in here and now and detailed to do something very well.
Even though I was at the same time, I was working on my computer, doing my own thing.
Yes.
While he was I was even working, but she was sitting down there, and I was still able to notice that.
Yeah, and another when he noticed, I was like, wow, how could he? He was busy doing something on his iPad, and he was listening at the same. At a point, I thought maybe he was not really listening, but he would call me back. He'd be like, okay, go back. That word you just read now. There's something wrong with that sentence. And I'm like, how? Another one that happened was on Sunday when we were talking. I said something and he went to do something. He said, excuse me. And when he went to do something and he came back, he's like, okay, so what was the last thing you were saying? He wanted to ask me so that I would continue from where I was talking. And trust me, I literally forgot the last thing. I forgot the last thing I said. He said, okay, you said this. You said it. I now recalled. I said, oh, that was what I was talking about. And I continued again. But he remembered. And I was the one talking and he was the one listening.
Yeah, he even left.
And he left and came back while I forgot what I was talking about. And he had to remind me and call me back to that. And we all need this book. Me, I desperately need it. And I think you do too.
So, one of my secretaries that I used to have, she used to ask me, because I used to ask her, I used to call them biomasses, all of that. I said, you are just a biomass. What's wrong with you? How can you be the one that is reading now to me? Okay, secretaries read out letters to me. So I said, okay, what you just read now, like the person who is suffering that now is Yorunke Junior Caroline. So because you just read this to me now, what did you just say? Oh, yeah, let me go back. Why go back? But you just read it now. Okay, you want to go back. Let me tell you. You are not even the one answering. You don't just to read. You don't even need to provide solution. You don't need to look at what happened before. We don't need to remember anything. Just read though. So I used to have a secretary like that. And she used to just be very surprised because she used to say, Pastor, but you are writing something, then giving instruction to another person, then she is reading something for me at the same time. She is saying, I cannot even, recall or recollect half of the thing that I'm reading, or maybe 10% of it. But you recollected everything 100%. You are talking with the other person, and then I can see all the things you have written so far. So I told them that it depends on the level of consciousness that you have developed in yourself. So I have developed my level of consciousness, let's say to 70%. While your own level of consciousness is only maybe 10%. So for me to be able to cope with the things that we are doing right now, I don't need all the 70%. I only need maybe 20% of my concentration. So 20% concentration gives me more than the whole thing that you have all together. For me, it's just 20%. So I still have 50% reserve. So that, just writing this thing I'm writing now, that only takes my 10% concentration. To listen takes another 5%. To give instruction and plan gives another 10%. So that's only 20%. But you, because you don't have that capacity of even 10%, you cannot even cope with that little one alone. Why I can cope with that, and I still have concentration level of that will even permit me to even do more things at the same time. So, and that is all what you could develop in yourself. Everybody could develop that skill. It's called conscious living, and that's why the subtitle to the book is called "Stop Daydreaming." Stop daydreaming to how to be in the here and now. Stop daydreaming and start living for real. Stop daydreaming and start living. Stop daydreaming and start living. Now, you have told us, Mrs. Shoronke, of some of your own experience that you recognize yourself in the book. But what I want to ask right now is that book a surprise and a shock to you? What is your first just emotional impression about the book, that even this kind of book exists? Just your impression, just general impression.
My impression was that
after reading it and going through it,
that it's it's a sad note to know that when we are not in the here and now, we are not actually living. So the question becomes, how much of our time have we lived? If we are not in the here and now, we have not started living. And that really, really got to me like, whoa, I haven't started living. And the book...
people get pregnant without being in the here and now, without consciously being aware of it, while they are dead. People marry, people go to their own wedding while they were sleeping, while they were asleep, while they were dead. People, raise children, they don't even know what happened. So when you ask them, they say, oh, what happened? For example, in my own wedding, if you have seen the video of my wedding, people were so surprised because they were surprised that I was taking my bride and my visitors to the down street of the city, and I would be dancing in the street because I was consciously doing everything I was doing. Everything consciously. Even when they were asking me to sign something, I was commenting and joking, and I was the main hero there. But most people just go through the motion. Oh, we have to go to church. Oh, we have to dress, wear white dress. Oh, we have to sign paper. But they are not consciously there, consciously aware. So life passes by people without them knowing. So they just discover that they have 2 children or 3 children. Even when that happened, they don't know. No, they know that they have the date somewhere is written, but they don't even. But me, I can repeat everything that happened with my first child, how he was given birth to, what happened, every minute, everything is consciously recorded. What happened in the morning, in the afternoon, even 20 years ago, 27 years ago. Consciously living enriches you. It recollects everything. People will say, how can you recollect people? How can you remember? I don't even struggle to remember. I don't even cram anything. I'm just consciously here, that's all. So I'm sorry.
Yes, and another thing about not being in the here and now is that a lot of time is wasted, and time practically is equal to life. It's all wasted. There was another story that I read in the book of a couple who had saved all these years to go on a vacation. I think it was a boat, a ship or something like that. And the day that they were supposed to go, the husband couldn't find the socks, he couldn't find the shirt, they spent their time looking for this, that, and everything, and they literally missed the boat. And this is something that they had saved for many years. Now, that again is an extreme story, but the truth of the matter is that that's what the picture would look like if we don't have this kind of book that Pastor Sunday wrote, being in the here now. Number one, to recognize that this is a problem. Also, what Pastor Sunday said is true. We used to blame it on the fact that, oh, I'm getting old, so that's why my memory is so good. I was so glad when I read the book, I was so glad to find out that it has nothing to do with getting old. It has more to do with being aware, conscious, alert of what you are doing. And you know, to be able to even do that, you really have to be alive. For instance, the example that we just got on his wedding day, Pastor Sunday said he was dancing and this and that. All those kinds of behaviors make you remember what is happening in the here and now. But most of the time, we just daydream through the day. Even at work, I mean, they did a study with employees to find out how much time of the 8 hours that they're at the job that they're actually there working. And they found out very little of it. And that's why they want to use robots to replace human beings as quickly as possible. You know, because time is wasted. And for them, money is important. So this book is like a deliverer for that kind of problem that most of us have. I really heard that it's about 80 to 90% of us human beings have that problem. And one of the things I also learned in the book that a lot of it has to do with daydreaming. You know, when you are little and you're daydreaming, it's just like, you know, okay, you know, you're just daydreaming, thinking. But you don't know that you take that same daydreaming, you take it into your adult life. Sometimes you just sit down there, something is being said, you switch off, and it's like you go off into another world, you know. And
that never ever happens to me. Can you believe it? It used to happen before I came, but since 16 years old, it doesn't. Unless I want to meditate, then I do that intentionally. But not that I'm somewhere and I'm supposed to be doing something and I switch up. I'd never switch up because I train myself that way.
Wow. So, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, that most of us are actually not in the here now. So when we go to church on Sunday, really, are we there? Are we in church right there? I mean, it's in every area of our life. It's in every event that we do. But this book really shows you, it takes you from how it's happening, what exactly it is. Somebody wrote that, you know, when you daydream, monsters are literally taking over your mind and taking you into a world of fantasy. It's in the book. And taking you to a world of fantasy. And another thing too, not being in the here now, another thing that it does is, there was this quote that Pastor Sunday had quoted to us one time, and immediately he said it. I said, oh, it's from this book, How to Be in the Here Now. And the quote is, the bad head doesn't give rest to the feet. And so you wonder, what is the meaning of that? Well, for example, it's like you should be spending your time doing other things that are important, but you're spending your time looking for your key to go out to an important meeting. That means that so much of your physical body is doing so much work, whereas if you were just in the here and now, you would know right at that moment where the key was and you'd be off to that important meeting. So a lot of things that we do, we really put a lot of pressure on our physical being, not using our logical mind. And to find out too that the difference between a human and an animal is the fact that we have a mind that we can use to be creative, that we can use to be like our God. And if we don't use it, we have just made ourselves into the animal level for real. So I would just suggest to you that being aware about how to be here and now, catch yourself. One thing I learned in the book is it gives you tips on how to be in the here and now. And you really have to train yourself. I think as an adult, you pretty much know when you'll tend to go off, when you'll tend to daydream. And I think at that time, you should catch yourself. Let me tell you a few things that I've started doing. So now, let's say I'm going to study a book, and I need my total attention, or I'm listening to something. What I do now is I have a pencil and I have a sheet of paper. And as I'm either reading or listening and my mind starts to drift, I put 1 mark. And so I count within 5 minutes how many times I've gone somewhere else. And I'm not lying to you, it's more than 20 in 5 minutes. It's just like I said, what? So maybe you need to document just to test and see really that most of the time It's almost like an automatic thing. It's something that doesn't even need to be thought of. It just happens. And that was amazing to me. So now what I'm trying to do is to really catch my mind very quickly, decrease the times that I'm taking off into another thought. And sometimes you can justify that thought because you're like reading a book and then something says, oh, but by the way, remember you put something inside the fridge that you said you were going to eat during your break time. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. Go and eat. Then you get to the fridge. Oh, you know what? You did say you were going to soak the beans so that you could cook it later in the evening. Oh, yeah, let me show you. Before you know, you're just totally out of everything. You don't even remember that you started off by reading a book or listening to a tape. Now you're off onto all kinds of things. And you think it's right. You think, oh, that's okay. You know, this I need to do. But it's not, because if you want to be in the here and now and be able to use your mind logically and powerfully and to be creative, you really have to be there. You have to be conscious at what you are doing at that time. And so that was part of some of the things that I learned.
Brilliant. So this is the book, How to Be in the Here and Now. How to be in the here and now. From what Mrs. Shorunke has explained, what do you people think? Do you get anything?
Yes, I got a lot. I saw myself in the mirror with a lot of the drifting every minute when you're reading, going to the kitchen wanting something and then coming back empty-handed because you can't remember, is that I need to be conscious. I need to be conscious of what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I need to do, but having a technique to make it possible for me. I think the ... to know how bad it is. I really know how bad it is, but the first thing first is just realizing that there's a solution. That's probably half of my problem solved because I know now that there's a solution. So the second part now is to read this book for me. I want Dr. Sunday to go through the titles or like as you usually do, so I can know what to look forward to. I really need this book desperately. I'm just pleased that I'm able to find a solution to that problem, because I thought it's a problem that I just have to live with, and if I'm lucky or something is important to me enough, then I'll start remembering, because there's all sorts of excuses that you're given for being like that. Nobody really sympathizes with you, even when you try to tell people that you have that problem. Oh, don't worry, you have a lot on your mind. I do the same thing. Those are the things that you hear. I do the same thing. It's no big deal. You're okay now. You just go back and do it. But there's a key thing here that we're wasting a lot of time, not being here and now. We're doubling efforts on things that we should know, we should move on and do. We're going back. So we're wasting our time, and when we waste our time, we're wasting our life, and we're really not living. So, it sounds very heartbreaking, but I'm just glad right now that there's a solution. And that solution in this book is the second part of that solution is that I need to read it. I need to make it practical in my life so that I can see the changes, because there's a big but.
Yeah. The first step to getting something solved is realizing that there is actually a problem. When Mrs. Lola was talking, I was wondering, because she said when it happened to her, she was thinking, oh, maybe it's because of age. So now that we are young, what would be our excuse for how we travel, how we get lost in things? Even the one of reading a book, I actually justify my thoughts so many times doing that. And now that I've realized that this is actually a problem. The truth is, until I continuously heard Pastor Sunday say something like being here and now, being here and now. He kept saying it, being here and now. I didn't actually realize it's a problem for someone to daydream or travel or do things like that. As kids, they justify things like daydreaming because of the movies and cartoons people watch, people imagine a lot of things, and you can imagine an adult putting that in that person's life and growing with it, and all your life you're never present in what you're doing. And even when you now get to those things you're thinking about, you're not still there too. that's how we spend the whole of our life, not actually living. Wasted, and that's why we are not actually being productive. So we see the reason why you struggle to be productive, and yet you're not productive because we are never in here and now. This is a big challenge to me, and I can't wait to get into this book and solve this issue and become productive. And I'm sure a lot of us too are waiting to get into this book and let's see what it's all about.
I can tell you that your productivity level rises or increases 10 times when you master how to be in the here and now. 10 times. You become productive. You see results 10 times more. If you are able to do one thing in your life, your result becomes like 10 times. Just being in the here and now alone, helps you to be the best student, to study, to be able to. That's why when I read a book, when I tell you that I've read a book, I can come back to you and tell you what is in every page. Not by cramming it or memorizing at all, just by being here and now when I'm reading. That's the concentration level that we're supposed to have. So, So if you have never heard of a book like that, unfortunately, I wrote the book in Russian originally. Yeah, it was written in Russian language, but because I thought I was writing it for the Russian population, I didn't know the whole world is suffering from it. But since I started talking about it, everybody's interested, we now decided to translate it to English language. But the translation is good enough; it could be understood, right?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. So now, let me tell you one of the phrases from the book, because I'm not going to do exactly the same thing that I normally would do, because that time when I'm alone is totally different. So I'm just going to give you some ideas from the book. Okay, in chapter 1 of the first quotations that you will see in the introduction, it says, "The sleep of reason produces monsters." But that is a tough one for people to understand. If you don't think fast, you might not be able to get it. Huh?
I understand it.
Huh? You understand it immediately?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a bad translation from Russian. It's supposed to be the sleep of the mind. The sleep of the mind gives birth to monsters. That's what I would say, the way I would translate it. If I had done the translation myself, I would have translated it that way. The sleep is a Spanish proverb. The sleep of the mind gives birth to monsters. How do you understand that? You say you understand that. Tell me about it. But the book is explaining it more. But let's see how you understand.
Yeah,
I actually had a question.
Yeah, it's idle mind is the devil's workshop. So if you're not thinking, then the devil can go and anything can happen because you're not active. You're not activating your mind to do anything. So whatever goes in will just work. Whatever comes in is action. You just do. So it's an idle mind. It's a devil's workshop. That's what we say in English. But I've been sleeping all my life. Honestly, I just woke up this year because I heard this before. DSA, I started waking up last year, but I'm one of those kids. You wake up your kids to go to school. They wake up 30 minutes later. You woke me up last year, but I didn't get up out of bed until this year. So that's it.
I wanted to ask how the sleep of the mind produce monsters. Like, I wanted to know monsters. Why the word monsters?
You want to explain that?
Well, the way that I saw it when I read it was that what else is going to fill the mind? I mean, if you're not here now, in the here and now, what is anything can come into your mind, but whatever does come into the mind is monsters because you can't make use of it. It's not of any benefit. It's not in any order. It's not of any purpose. It's not of any calling. So it's monsters. It's just there to just scare you really, what you are thinking. So that's the way I see it. It's of no benefit what comes into your mind if you're not in the here and now. Nothing logical, nothing useful.
The word monsters could also be translated as nightmares.
Oh.
So the sleep of the mind produces nightmares.
Wow.
Yeah, but...
Yes, I was also going to say, another understanding that Another understanding I have with that monster is that it's not that, monster comes to you or you should be scared, but you become a monster to the world as well, because you're not active, you're not producing in the way you should, your mind is not developed well, so you don't become anything, you become monster. Your thoughts are monster, your behavior a monster to society, to the world around you, because you're not conscious, you're not here and now, you're not even growing. So you will become a monster. Not that just monsters will be around you. It's not just an effect on you as an individual, but also the effect of your idle mind, or your mind not thinking or not here and now, being on your community, your society, your people around you. You become the monster too.
Okay, but let me explain to you my own understanding of it. The sleep of the mind. When your mind is asleep, you are not asleep physically. I'm not talking about the physical sleep. So you are not asleep physically. So even though your mind is asleep, but you are not aware, that is already a monster. That is already nightmare. Because you think you are okay. That is already monstrous. It's just like saying that I'm not seeing what is here. And what is here, they told me, or I suppose, that what is here is Coca-Cola. But really what is here is somebody's urine. Urine is somebody's urine. Because my mind, it didn't understand what is inside here. I am living a monstrous life. Nightmare life. Just because I don't know. Your mind is, if your mind is removed, you are still doing things, but you are doing things that you cannot predict where it's ending. That is what religion does to people. Religion puts people's mind to sleep. Religion makes your mind to go sleep. So you have by the time your life passes, let's say you've been going to church for 10 years without personal relationship with God, without really being aware in your mind, and you are just going to church. So you have been doing actions. So what is the monster here? 10 years has passed, you've been going to pray. They say you pray, you are praying, pray. They say you should praise, you are praise. And you are expecting miracles, you are doing things, whereas that 10 years that you are using to go to church and expecting miracles, those same 10 years, you could have put it in constructive action, constructive activities, constructive, purposeful, intentional goals would have been met. But you didn't do it because you were busy, just your mind was not on, but you are doing activities. So those activities, by the time you wake up, it's a monstrous, a rude awakening, we call it. It's a nightmare. Why nightmare? My dreams have not been met. Goals have not been accomplished. Nothing constructive has been developed or built. That is nightmare. Because you are living, but because your mind is switched off, consciousness was not there, the things you are producing were not things you would have liked to. That's how horror comes, nightmare, monster. So that is the horror of the fact that what you are producing is not what you have liked to produce if you had been awaked. It's just like saying, for example, people, when your mind is asleep, you marry. And I'm remembering a case right now that is really, I'm going through a pain in my life right now because I know somebody who is a good friend of mine that this thing just happened to. You married, maybe just for some reasons, the mind went to sleep because you fell in love, emotions took over, not your mind, or some other considerations, your age or whatever. Then by the time you realize who you are married to, the sleep of that mind that has gone to sleep has just produced a monster for you, a nightmare. You are a nightmare. You think you are sleeping. You think it's a dream. So people always think they are in a dream, in a horrible dream, horror dream, but it's not a dream because the mind, they are taking a decision while the mind was asleep, and their reality becomes like a dream, like a monstrous, like a nightmare dream. Or let's say, for example, you got pregnant, or you got married, got a husband, and then the next thing you started having children. It's like everybody's supposed to be having children. But then when the reality of children begin to come, you discover that children got sick, the child got sick, or you need to pay for school fees, or you don't have money, or you still need to work while you are having a baby. Nightmare begins. Nightmare because of reality, because you didn't think it through. If you have thought it through, you would have known that, okay, I have enough money, I have a place to build a house, or I have a house to live in. I have enough money to set my wife free from going to work. She doesn't have to go to work because we have already settled that. I've already thought it through. We are already taking care of her that she doesn't need to go to work. She just need to take care of the children. And we have a driver, we have 2 drivers, we have helpers, we have people. Everything is thought through. Everything is perfect. So my marriage is not an experience in nightmare every minute. So you have to be praying, you have to be asking for help, you have to be running helter-skelter. That's nightmare. Because you did not think through when you were starting in the first place. Or that you have children and then you just find out that one child, second child has come. So people tell you that, before we realize we are pregnant again. People are just, you hear people talk about, I was just pregnant. Oh, I just got pregnant. As if, because that is the sleep of the mind. What do you mean you just got pregnant? Were you asleep? Where did the pregnant come? Oh, rain fell and you got pregnant? Or breathed and you just got pregnant? As if it just happened without their own consciousness. That's exactly what happens. People, normally, they don't consciously. For example, I and my wife, I knew exactly this very week we were going to get pregnant. From 4 years, that was 3 years before. We were pregnant. Before the very day we were married, 3 years later, we knew to the very same week we were going to be pregnant. Then we knew exactly the next time the second one was going to come, the third one. And even before those children were born, we knew exactly what they were going to become. That's what it means to consciously do things. To be in the here and now with God. And hear God. And get direction. And know exactly what's waiting for you. But people just say, I just got pregnant. Oh, we had the second child. We had the second child. How? We had it from where? You went to the toilet and it came out? Because people's mind was sleeping. Then we cannot afford it. Oh, we cannot send it to school. Oh, we cannot send it to that school. Oh, it's too expensive. Because you didn't think everything out in the very beginning. So that's the sleep of the mind, what it does to people. I don't know if I answered you a little bit. Yes. You wanted to add to that? Or?
Can I read some of the comments?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay. Oriyomi says, this is a serious matter. NJ, sir, we were told you don't need to prepare or plan for marriage or even plan for birthing children.
Wow.
Talking about crisis.
Are you serious?
Yes. I've heard that before.
I never heard that.
That children comes with their own money to look after them. I've heard it before.
Yeah, those are the Yoruba tradition in Africa. I used to hear that.
Amarachi says, Justina says, it's like walking in your sleep. Gil says, Irene says, wow, the sleeping mind is a dangerous mind. Justina says, exactly, like to somebody else. This is so sad with many church goers, some for 30 years. That's from Charles. Oriyomi says, then you find out, how did I get here? Justina says, it's just like driving a car out of your mind. This is very serious. So then we have Brenda saying, that's true. Yetunde says, God help us to help ourselves. Emma says, how to be here and now. That's the title of this book that we're reviewing. Albertina says, wow. Albertina, yes. Dupe says, oh, having a numb brain. Justina again says, that's a great risk. How can you avoid this? Oh, how can you avoid what? Well, it'll probably be in the book, Justina, How to Be in the Here and Now. You can purchase it on Amazon. It's available now. Brenda says, this is serious. Lord have mercy. Yetunde says, I know of an extreme case of someone who left their child on the bus. She completely forgot that she got on the bus with two of her kids, one in the buggy and the other one walking by herself. So, let's see. She left one with the child in the buggy and only realized the other one wasn't there when she got to her door. Oh gosh.
Yeah, examples like that in the book also.
Yes, example. Dr. Sunday is just saying that examples like that are in the book also. Olorun Leke says, which book, please? How to Be in the Here and Now by Sunday Adelaja on Amazon. No doctor, so just type in Sunday Adelaja or How to Be in the Here and Now, Olorun Leke. Justina says, sleep of the mind is a crucial statement in people's life. Oriyomi says, idle mind is prone to negative pictures. Do you want to read them? Okay.
Gift Blessing Amos said, some people went for deliverance for issues like this. OMG. Albert Sina said, hello, Pastor Sunday. Choma said, we are excited to have you on this platform all the way from India. Paul said, monster. Okay, he was trying to explain monster. It means crisis in the world. And then Oriomi said, wow. Paul also said, monster could mean stupidity. Pressure said, watching from Ghana. Paul said, shalom, DSA, and everyone. Paul said, the sleep of the mind gives birth to a monster. Yes. Mabel said, yes. Paul said, yes. Inda said, watching from India. Oriomi said, thank God for DSA for this solution. Oriomi also said, getting to a place to get something, then forget, and then ask the Holy Spirit to remind me. Sometimes you go back and retrace your steps in order to remember. Dupe said, or maybe you are stressed. MJ said, I got a lot, sir, not only in reading to quiet, honest, when even praying, too many drifts goes on and on in my mind. Okay, he's trying to say that when he's reading, so many things go on his mind. Julie said, can't wait to study that book. Julie said, I agree, it is not easy, but feasible. Thank God for Dr. Sunday's teachings and never-ending corrections in that regard. Dubé is giving thumbs up. Brenda is clapping. Olainka said, I am always traveling. No. Brenda said, tell me about it, with a laughing face. Sunday said, great one, DSA. You said you have been living this way since age 16. I would love to know how you developed this ability. Where did you learn it from? What prompted you to discover the need for the development of this ability and virtue? Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think you can.
Okay, I will answer that question. But before I answer that question, let's look at the example, a practical example. I just got this letter a few days ago from somebody who is in England. And I went to the church. I was in their church back in 2006. No, I think it was even earlier than that, maybe 2006. Anyway, I was in England to preach in their church, and this guy was the praise and worship leader of that church. And he's been there like maybe 10 years before or whatever. So he's writing, your visit to this particular church in England, when I was there, I was a member of that church and the choir leader as well. I didn't have a stable job at the time, but spent most of my time working in the church. See, people get born again. This guy was sent. His parents were professors. They sent him to England, saved their money, sponsor him so that he would go and do his specialization and become a greater person than them. So parents are sacrificing in Nigeria, send their son to England, and he got born again. And crisis started. He went to sleep because he was listening to pastors. Go serve God, serve God, serve God. He discovered that for him to serve God, as they were asking in the church, and since he was very zealous and gifted and talented, he thought serving God would be better. And then he couldn't make it anyway with his school. So let's just read it. He said, we were going to the same church at the same time with Professor Chris Imafidon. But he was just facing academics while I was religious. See who Professor Chris Imafidon has become today. And they were thinking it's not dedicated. It was not dedicated. It was not an active member. It was not a fervent member. But let's see what has happened to the fervent member. We say people are not fervent, or people are backsliding, or they call them different names just because they didn't put their mind to sleep. So this one went and put his mind to sleep. Let's see the result. So even that time when I was leading the praise and worship in the church, I still did not know what I was born to be, because the mind was sleeping. I didn't know what I was called to be, but I was serving the church, serving God. Actually thought that if God spoke to me in the midst of my dedicated service, that God himself will speak to me in the midst of my dedicated service. Since I'm serving him, he's supposed to lead me now. That is how religious they have put his common sense to sleep. A son of two professors, thinking like this. God will talk to me. And he kept on serving. This is how 10 years passed. Okay. So I thought I would know what I was meant to be when God speaks to me. But after 10 years of doing my best, serving in the church, I became homeless. Not one time, but quite a number of times. Stopped going to school. While at the church, I was homeless twice and the church couldn't even help. But I was still serving God. I thought it is God I'm serving. It is my problem. And one of the times I was homeless was when I was already married. He went and married when he didn't finish school. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a house. He went because people are just doing things sleepingly. The sleep of the mind. And once I was homeless when I was married and had a daughter. My parents, who are university professors, did not even know what I was going through here in London. I hid this information from them. They had always asked me how I was doing with my career. And I was being sent money from Nigeria to finish my master's. They didn't know that I was giving it as offering in the church. Special offering for building, special offering for this, special offering for this. The sleep of the mind. This monster. Is it not monster? How can you be homeless? When you are sent to be greater than your parents, you come to be homeless. It's not because your parents are not sending you money, but because you are giving them for special offerings, special days. I gave a large part of this amount of money as offering in the church, which later led to me dropping out of the university because I couldn't pay for my master's. Close to 10 years later, I think we said keep on going to the church for another 10 years. Close to 10 years later, he dropped out of the church. I am now doing, after I dropped out of the church, got depressed, lost everything. It is now 10 years later after I left the church that I had to go back to university. Can you imagine if he was 30 that time, it would be 40 now. So he has to begin to go back to university to finish his master's. As a key member in the church, I attended every meeting weekly and specially organized programs, especially since it's the choir master, you cannot miss. And they make you to be ministers so that you will be more in bondage. I still didn't know who I was, even though I was not missing any meeting. I was going to all those services. I still didn't know who I was or what I was meant to do in my life. I expected God to bless me for my service and faithfulness, but instead of blessing, I became homeless. The rude awakening is that instead of a surprise blessing for all I had served in the church and all I had given to the church, I lost everything. Today, after listening to you and following your teachings, I feel as if I'm an absolute fool for all this foolishness. He woke up. He woke up. Now that he woke up, he discovered that his life, he has given back, his religiosity has given back to monster. Nightmare. His life has become nightmare. But not just his own life, the wife, the child. Sorry to say, I feel now that like an absolute fool for all those years that I've lost in church. I was the despised of the despised. Later on in that same church, they despised him, they accused him, they chased him out, and he was even humiliated. After serving so consistently. After leaving that church in 2009, I started going from one church to the other. I attended many churches, but most recently, I stopped going to church altogether because it's so disillusioned. Is that not monster? That is what the sleep of the mind will do for you. Thank God Dr. Sunday Adelaja started coming on live broadcast again to bring him back to himself, his senses. And these kind of letters, I receive them every day almost. The sleep of the mind through religion is bringing nightmares and monsters in people's lives. Sorry. I want to read what people are writing. I mean, there was a question that I was asked. Yeah. Maybe I should answer that one first.
Yes.
Okay. Let me answer the question that was asked before. How come I started working on this thing since the age of 16? All of you had opportunity to start working on it, even since the age of 12. Every one of us, even earlier on. And I will tell you, and this will show you something about me. You know, they used to knock me in the head that time and say I was dull, right? That I was the only one who was not smart. And I told you later on, I discovered that what the teachers didn't know is that I had another way of thinking. So of learning. But they didn't discover, and that's what Professor Chris also was saying. That, you just need to find out your own passion, your own love, and your own style of learning. So, but they didn't bother to discover my own unique way of learning. But anyway, all of you went to better schools than me. But I am the one who picked this lesson. From Idomila Community High School, there was never a library, there was never a laboratory, there was no doors in the room, classroom, no window, just roof and some bricks like this. From that kind of school is where I learned this thing. And the reason was that each time, because I was the worst person who was a daydreamer. I was the worst daydreamer you could ever imagine. Can you imagine I grew up with my grandmother, and my grandmother would be, I and my grandmother would be sitting here like this, and she would say, go and pick this table here. Just stretch what your hand and take it. Go and bring that book there or that something. Before I go from here to that place, I've forgotten what she told me to go and bring. That was my life when I was a kid. So when I was in the high school, secondary school they call it in Nigeria, and this happened to everybody in every secondary school, I'm sure, even primary school. Teachers will always come to the class and say, stop daydreaming. They will take a pen or a pencil and say, hey, wake up, or hey, they do something like that, or stand up everybody. Or you remember? Did that happen in your own school? Yes. Did that happen in your own school? Of course. They say, stop daydreaming, wake up. What? So that was what I used to say, daydream. So they explained the dream, not that you are sleeping. We are not sleeping. Your eyes are open, but daydreaming is when your mind is gone. And I was practicing that a lot, and everybody was doing that, and they were always saying, then I knew that every teacher is coming and saying the same thing. It means I must handle myself and begin to walk that I will never do that again. By myself. But there were several people in that class. I mean, for many years, for 5 years, all teachers were coming to say that. But at the age of 16, I said I would never fall into that thing again. And I started working on it. And it's the best thing to happen to me in my life. So it's not that I studied or I read a book or anything. Just from there. So when I came here and I began to teach the Russians about daydreaming, I had never read anything about it in my life. This is just from, even when I wrote my book, I had never read anything about it. This is just from what teachers used to tell me from 11 years old to 16 that, hey, stop daydreaming. Then I started working on it and I discovered all these things by myself. Now I wrote a book about it. So you had the same opportunity like me. Every one of you had the same opportunity like me. So I hope I've answered the question of that man. You want to comment on it? So it's just the uniqueness of how I learned. I learned by observation and by thinking myself, by getting decisions.
Do you want to say something about it? I just wanted to say that Dr. Sunday is, saying that we will learn something about him before he answered that question was really important, because with things like that, because the way I would have taken it, and I think maybe this is most type of people, and I'm just so grateful that I'm learning this right now, is that because the teacher comes and tells everybody to stop doing it, that even becomes a game for me. It becomes like, well, everybody is like that. So I don't take it as a note of something that I need to develop, not to be that way. Because then if everyone is like that, then, even the teacher knows everybody is like that. So, they come all the time. So that really tells me something about his mind and the way his mind works, where he even observed that so many teachers come to say this. It means it's a problem in society, it's a problem for everybody. And I don't want it to be a problem for me, for my future. So that alone is a huge lesson for me. And I really need to, and it's with everything. When I see other people that are doing things, I said, that's how life is. But life is not like that. Life is what you make it. Your life, you could. So I'm starting to even understand the predictability of life. Whatever you want, you can make it happen. He saw that immediately, that's a problem. That's a problem in the classroom. That's a problem with many people. And he chose to think, he decided that this is not going to be a problem that I'm going to live with for the rest of my life. I'm not going to settle. Even though it's identified by teacher, there's a problem, and it's not one teacher, it's all the teachers at this very early age. I know my friends are doing it as well because we're all daydreaming, but he chose to come out of it. For me, that's a big lesson.
Yeah. When you were talking, I also remembered an instance he gave, his wedding, and I actually watched the wedding video, and I observed, sincerely, before he said this now, I actually observed that during his wedding, like every single thing, how they were singing, moving from one place to another, the places they chose to take their pictures, he said, okay, here. Like, you would notice that he was very intentional about everything, how they drove to the wife, where the wife was, coming out of the car, every single thing was actually intentional. I observed through the video. And again, even in his 50th birthday, you would know that he the things he wanted to be in the birthday, that was how the birthday was. So now one thing that taught me is being in the here and now helps you to create the world you want around you.
Monster.
Yes.
Accidents create monster. Just this lack of predictability creates monster. Lack of intentionality creates monster. But when you are in church, when your mind is active, you create your world.
Yes, you actually, that's one thing if you really want to create that world, and you can, things don't just happen to you, don't accept what the world throws at you. The key is being in the here and now, and that's a big, huge lesson for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've learned. Okay, so reading comments.
Okay, Oriomi said, maybe that is why people don't notice people. Exactly. They are not even. That's actually, Pastor Sunday notices everything. He notices everything from up to down. And that actually,
even your hair.
I don't know if I was supposed to share that, but like today when you were explaining, this evening, Pastor Sunday said,
You know where it's going.
You're not wearing a skirt. And he said, there's something I noticed that I wanted to tell you if you're wearing a skirt today, but if I will still tell you. And he said, you have hairs on your leg. And that's not something that is normal for most people, because most people shave the hair on their leg. And I was like, really? How did I only wore a gown on Sunday, and that must have been when Pastor Sunday noticed that. And I'm like, how detailed is someone that he notices everything you wear? That same day he said, oh, you look brighter than you looked yesterday. And I'm like, how is someone able to, it's not like the same hair, almost everything. I'm like, how does someone notice something like this? It shows how he has actually mastered consciousness. Or Babush. Babush came in here today and Pastor was like, you look different. What's the different thing about your makeup today? Down to those little things is the height of mastering consciousness, and it's really, really amazing. It's really, really, and the truth is this: one beautiful thing about this book is it's not like anybody's a genius. You see, he has just explained how he learns this thing. That means, imagine a boy that they used to knock on the head. Someone that they used to knock. That means, right from when he was a kid, everyone was like, come on, you are empty-headed, you know. And then now, you've chosen to create your life. You started learning something that most people don't learn. That's why you're actually getting the results other people are not getting. Yeah. So if we really want this, you know what to do. Yes. Get the book and learn how to.
And the beauty, can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
Right? The beauty of this is that, Dr. Sunday is always telling us that he was like this before. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we think these geniuses, they were born this way. If he says that I was the worst drifter, he gave the example that my grandmother would say, pick up something on the table, which is right in the eye, in the view of his eyes, and by the time he gets to the table, he doesn't even remember, because the thing about how pastors and leaders and other people always make us think that they are unique, they are anointed, they are chosen one. He tells us that no, I was this way, I was like this, ground zero, and I built myself up. You see, that's what gives me confidence. That's what gives me hope for my life. That's what gives me power. That's what gives me authority. That I can actually, whatever I want to be, it's in my hand. I have the ability. I have the capability. I just have to apply myself. So this is the lessons here every day with all the teachings. The teachings are not to make you feel inferior. It's just to let you know that you yourself, from where you're starting from, ground zero level, you can build yourself to be mighty. So I'm so grateful. So guys, don't forget to do this. You know what I wanted to say. So go ahead and share. Why Peace finish reading?
Yeah, let's read the comments and hear what you're saying, what's going through your mind. So Paul said, waking up ingenuity in him. Wow, yes. Someone said, Gift said, DSA is always a practical example of what he teaches, and that is very true. Paul said, those knocking were actually waking him up. Dupe said, casualties all over the places, yeah? Lisa said, hello, brother Solomon. Maja, okay? Gift is laughing. MJ said, I have to watch DSA's wedding videos. You would learn a lot just watching those videos. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja official. Okay, Gift said, so when we find ourselves elsewhere in our mind, we are really mentally locating ourselves, not just in another place, but also in another activity. Oh my God. Maybe that is why people don't notice people. They are not even awake. Ellen said, I am a real daydreamer. Dupe said, this is how I lived my childhood. MJ, sir, God himself trained you to be the deliverer of this age. You are such a blessing to this generation and generations to come. Lisa is lifting up her hands. Sunday said, great story. Thanks for the answer, sir. Omonike is clapping for DSA. Yetunde said, bless you and many thanks, DSA. Brenda, we are blessed to receive this knowledge. Monica said, yes, so real daydreaming. Okay,
Gifts is saying as well. Then we have Gift as well saying this is a very big problem. A situation whereby your mind is elsewhere, not on where you are, not on what you're doing. These are real problems indeed. Then we have Ademi Lu says, this is an eye-opener. God bless you, sir. Then we have Toyin says, God is using GSA to deliver people. Thank God. Oriyomi says, you are not alone. God have mercy. Dupe says, don't remind me. I want my money back. That's not my name. Angela says, and Angela says, Abba, thank you for helping your people. Joy says, God really wants you to deliver us from this bondage. Rosalind says, Jesus is Lord. Omonike says, yes, so Akwilin Kiruna, so choir practice, oh Lord, laugh out loud. May the Lord help us. So Pastor Kiri said, we have a lot of dropouts here in my city after vowing or sowing their school fees. Unfortunately, it's not even funny. Today, this is scripture come to life. Arise and shine, for our light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon us. That's Oriyomi saying that. Justin says, sir, how can we concentrate during praise and worship? Many people are going this sleep of the mind during the worship. That's Justin saying that. Get the book, Justin. Oh my God, that's from Olayinka. MJ said, Ewo, Chimo. Inkuru said, yeah, they fool here. MJ, you can say that again. They're talking to each other now. Choir members suffer most. Everyday choir practice. Primrose says, at times when I pray, my mind drifts off and different thoughts comes up, but I just focus. I need this book like yesterday. Get it, Primrose. It's available now on Amazon. How to be in the here and now. Irene says, thank you for the enlightenment. I must get this book. Gift says, this is a serious epidemic self-diagnosis. Dupe says, can you imagine when we pray and this is happening? And then MJ says, if we have had known better or thought this, some of us wouldn't have been married, talk less of bearing biomass children.
Yes.
What a sleepy generation. We have lots of work on our hands, people. MJ, thank you for that. Miss Song says, yes, he's really blessing to us. He is really blessing to us. I have not known this topic yet, but I love it. That's from Kaiser. Welcome, Kaiser. I can see this is probably your first time. Welcome. Judy says, forgetting all sorts of things in public transportation, money, umbrella, even my wallet. Thank God for the teaching. Yes, you're not alone, Julie. I've even forgotten my shopping in the in the shop where I bought it. Flora says, it's not even funny. This is for real. I had to go back. Flora says, I am watching from London. I am glad I met this man of God on this Facebook platform. Thank you, Flora. You can join us again. We will be back again shortly. We'll be back in 37 minutes. We're coming back. Dr. Sunday will be here on the teaching about, is your church a cult or not? Is your church a cult or not? You must join us for that. We're back in 37 minutes. Does anybody want to have the last word before I close? Yes.
Yes. Today we are talking about the book of being in the here and now. And I want to tell you that in this book, I have never heard anyone give exercises for the mind. But in this book, there are some exercises to do to help you to be in the here and now. And that is something I've never seen. So for those who are, going to get the book, you are going to get a treat. The other thing I wanted to tell you is, remember I had started telling you that I started tracking my mind drifting, and like in 5 minutes I was way off in 25. Well, now what I've decided to do is I give myself like 3. Okay, 1 thought, 2 thoughts, is over. No more thoughts. So what I'm trying to do now is track it from 3 to 2. My mind is drifting once, my mind is drifting 2, because it happens very quickly. Then I shut it down till I get to my mind is drifting once. I shut it down so I can get to the point whereby I can have control of my mind and be conscious of everything that I do. So there are exercises there to help you. There are tips. There are many example stories that you can relate to. Some of them you will laugh. Some of them you will be not feeling too good about it. But all of it will help you to give you an understanding of how to be in the here and now. And I really, really want to thank Pastor Sunday so much for sharing this knowledge with us, how it came about. And I'm just grateful. I know we're all grateful to him. So thank you, everyone.
Well, the book, I heard that the links to the book are there already in the comment section. So go look for the link and go get the book, How to Be in the Here and Now. How to Be in the Here and Now. And in 30 minutes, we'll be back with you to continue the subject of, is your church a cult or not? Okay. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. 30 minutes. Call everybody. We are back.